Hey buddy, this is Colin, Mr. Old School Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I have a clip of the Tier 7 Premium Cruiser Belfast. Now, Belfast is a bit special in many ways and is considered by most of the player base as extremely overpowered and pretty broken, which I can pretty much agree with. Don't really understand how this ship could pass all the super testers and the community contributors and still make it into the live version as is, but maybe Wargaming just decided to ignore all the testing, or I'm not really sure what happened, but I think this ship should have never made it to live game as it is right now, because having such great concealment at tier 7 as the Belfast have, fully skilled and built for concealment, you reach a concealment of 8.5 kilometers detection, which is extremely low. And add to that hydro, radar and smokescreen is pretty insane. Also adding that this is the only Royal Navy cruiser with high explosive shells makes for an extremely overpowered ship. That said, as all Royal Navy cruisers, the Belfast is also made out of paper, and I think a big part of the problem is that people are usually too kind to Royal Navy cruisers, and especially to Belfasts. As soon as I pop my smokescreen, which I do as soon as I feel the heat coming on, people pretty much stop trying to put some damage into me, and I think most players would agree with me when I say that it's not really hard to punish Royal Navy cruisers in smoke, because the ships are usually so big in regards to the size of the smoke. So you can usually pinpoint where the fire is coming from the smoke, and you can still citadel Royal Navy cruisers and even take them out. And that usually never happens when I sit in smoke, even though I usually pop my smoke really close to the enemy fleet. People just stop shooting, trying to damage me, and they focus on everybody else, and that gives me pretty much free reign with all my firepower, which I think people should act a little bit different. I mean, it's not really hard, as I said, to rush Belfast and take him out. Sure, you're gonna take a whole lot of damage, but usually if you are in a battleship, you can heal up most of the damage you've taken from a Belfast. And since the Belfast doesn't have torpedoes, you don't really have that to worry for as well. So I went for the right flank, and we have the 2 destroyers versus 1 on our side. And here I employ my usual tactic, as I play in pretty much all the cruisers I play, which is always go for the support. In this case, I started to shoot at the cruisers first, because I want the cruisers to turn around and hightail it back to base, which would leave their battleships unsupported and out in the open for me to just farm damage on. And sometimes, that you can see later in this match, it's the reverse role pretty much, that I need to chase off a battleship that is pushing too far ahead to pretty much take away the support for the enemy cruisers, so my fleet can target the enemy cruisers and start taking them out. So that is usually the tactic I'm going for. The enemy Leningrad is taken out, so now we only have one enemy destroyer to be concerned about. So now we have that other situation I was talking about. Now we have enemy battleship pushing in to support his fellow cruisers. As you can see, I popped my Hydra as soon as I popped my smoke screen, and that showed off these enemy torps, which means that the remaining enemy destroyer is close by as well. So now my job is pretty much to put some fear into this Bayern captain, making him regret his decision to push forward and support his team. And I pretty much want to chase him off with all my HE spam and fires, because as soon as he's gone and the enemy cruisers lose their support, then we can focus on the enemy remaining cruisers and take them out. And that is pretty much the tactic you should always go for in the World of Warships. You never want to see the enemy have a united front on a flank against you. You always want to make them disengage and split up and pretty much create a chaos in their lines. And that is how you make a team crumble. So now this flank for the enemy team has pretty much fallen. They are either dying or running away. And I can still see some enemy ships alive on the west flank. So there is my place in the remaining of this battle pretty much. I will need to start making my way over there as soon as possible. Just gonna finish off this low health cruiser before. And of course I'm running the priority target captain skill on the Belfast, just the same as I'm doing on every cruiser I play, which tells me as soon as I am targeted by an enemy, like you can see now. And that tells me pretty much when I need to start making maneuvers and dodging incoming shells. And what I can tell is that it was probably the enemy Budioni who is sailing around in the enemy base that target me. So now I'm just gonna start turning around and heading for the west flank instead, because the Belfast position is always close to the enemy fleet, where you can do as much damage as possible at all times. And we also have 3 remaining ships on this flank, so I'm not really worried about enemy ships flanking around this flank. So it's much better to me to go and support the 3 guys in the west, because they fighting a much greater force. And looking at the different ships on the enemy flank, I would say that Colorado is my primary target. That is pretty much the weak link. He's closest, he's a bit overextended and close to the other cruisers on my team. So he is my prime objective. I don't really want to engage that enemy Belfast, because that would be a fair fight, and you should never ever go for a fair fight. Now, before this match ends, I just wanna briefly touch on a subject that has sparked some controversy in the forums and the player base, and that is the news of the unique commanders, and especially the Yamamoto captain in the next upcoming patch. Now, I know I'm probably gonna receive a bunch of crap because of this, but I actually like and welcome this change to the game. And I love the idea of the unique commanders, and also this Yamamoto captain. I'm not really, the only thing I'm not really sure about is the way they implement these special unique skills. And what I mean by that is, for example, this special unique abilities you receive when you earn the Kraken, because this is always a bit of a controversy when anything is required you to earn a whole lot of kills, because that always starts the discussion about kill stealing and players holding their fire because they want to get that last salvo into a dying enemy ship, and that it will ruin team play and such things. And I think there is merit to that argument, but at the same time I think it's a really good idea. So I would rather see this idea but implemented in a kind of another way, where a player that has played the game very skillfully and carried the team in different ways should get these unique skills unlocked instead, and not only for receiving or earning 5 kills and the Kraken. For example, I would rather see a destroyer that has capped like 2 or maybe the 3rd cap in one match receive some special strength, maybe a shorter torpedo reload or some extra health points earned back, or something in those lines. Or maybe a battleship that has tanked a lot of shells for the allied fleets. Let's say you tanked like 1.5 million damage, which is not totally unusual in some ships. Or let's say you have put out like 150k damage on the enemy team. Something along those lines I would feel would benefit the game more if they implemented some extra bonus awards for those players. Not only because you receive a Kraken, because as you will see in this match, it's not always that hard to receive a Kraken, and there is not only always well earned, so to speak, but have done a certain amount of damage to the enemy team. Or if you have like when I play my Khabarovsk, and at the end of the game I have pretty much tanked 2 million damage that the enemy team has fired upon my ship instead of fired on my allies. I mean, I think these kind of things should be rewarded more. And I welcome this idea. I think it could be a real great change to the game, because if you think about it, all the cancer and rage and salt in the game and in the forums usually are due to skilled players pretty much getting sick of less skilled players. And there's not really a carrot for less skilled players to get any better, because they will always be carried by more skilled players. And especially in ranked, if you think about it. I mean, all the rage and why I never can go beyond rank 10 in any ranked season is because I just get so furious, and I just get so much hate in me towards other players, because they can't really pull their weight and they don't really know basic game mechanics. And still they are at higher ranks and they are at higher tiers, and I really think they should implement like a system. Like, for instance, in ranked gameplay, instead of having it like a one team wins, it should be all the best player wins. Sure, you can play like two teams opposite each other, but at the end of the game, you take the top part of the winning team and the top part of the losing team, and you get those guys to go up in rank. And all those guys who never ever perform, who just get carried all the way all the time, let those lose a point and go down in rank. And I feel that should pretty much be the same with the tiers. I mean, wouldn't it be great if a tier 10 player that always sucks and never can perform anything for the team, make him lose his ship, or make him pay like, I don't know, a credit tax or something. So it really hurts him to be in tier 10 games and just troll around. I don't know. Maybe I'm being really controversial here, but I really have some issues with how this game functions today, and especially the player base. I mean, the player base is the biggest issue, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm way off in these comments. I'm not entirely sure, but please let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious. What's your take on all this? So that said, I'm just gonna leave you with the end of this match, and also with a bit of a funny ending from another match I played with my Shimikaze. So until next time, have a great one, guys. I love you guys' support. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment below. Have a good one. Bye bye.
Generator started. Critical engine damage. screen set. All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
Our team has taken the lead.
Enemy destroyer sunk.
What is it you want to do when you grow up?
Hey yo, I'm gonna be on TikTok. That's all my eyes can see. Victory is mine, yeah, surprisingly. I've been laying, waiting for your next mistake. I put in work and watch my status escalate. Now I'ma start collecting props, connecting plots, networking like a conference. Cause the non